Welcome, dear students. Welcome to today's topic. It is special interest tourism under the subject management of services. Special interest tourism is also called as alternative forms of tourism. It aims to seek a change from traditional tourism to establish rapport between visitors and the local community. Instead of using touristic commodities, these tourists prefer to use or share the services of local people. We are going to look at alternative forms of tourism, that is ecotourism, food tourism, agro-rural tourism, wildlife tourism. As well, we are going to look at the recent trends, film tourism, space tourism, and slum tourism. We look at the first one, ecotourism. According to International Ecotourism Society, ecotourism is responsible travel to natural areas that conserves the environment and improves the well-being of local people. It is broadly defined as low-impact travel to undisturbed locations. Dear students, ecotourism is in such destination where there is low impact travel, and those are the places which are not traveled very frequently. Ecotourism and other forms of sustainable travel have their origins with the environmental movement of the 1970s. In 1970s, the term sustainability was actually explained. So ecotourism itself did not become prevalent as a travel concept until the late 1980s. During that time, increasing environmental awareness so that there is sustainability on earth, which led to travel to natural locations as opposed to man-made tourist locations. There are certain principles which are set forth by International Ecotourism Society, based on which ecotourism can be considered. Let's look at those principles. First one is build environmental and cultural awareness. Minimize impact, in the sense if one must travel by plane and can avoid it, can definitely take a train instead. Instead of using a bike, the tourist can walk or can use public transport. And there is a necessity to respect local resources and not to waste. There should not be littering around or cause any damage to the natural surroundings. Provide positive experience for both visitors and hosts. What does this mean? It is emphasizing on the conservation, education, low impact travel, and social and cultural participation in the locations being visited. The tourists are expected to respect the locals, their community, and support them and their values. Next point, provide direct financial benefits for conservation. This simply means that whatever the tourists are spending on the ecotourism, much of the money they are paying will go to the conservation of that particular destination. Can you take a glimpse of these pictures? The tourists are involving in the social and cultural participation. They are noticing their local occupation. Here you find the water puppet show, and you actually see the local resources are utilized. There are no big hotels or star hotels. They are making use of the services given by the locals. So whatever money is being spent on ecotourism reaches the localites and It is also used for conservation of that particular place. Provide financial benefits and empower for local people. Buying local and authentic products, they would be of higher quality, genuine, and they support the locals. It is going to provide income for the people living there. This way, they get much more financial benefits than from mass tourism, even if the number of tourists is much low. Dear students, can you see the pictures of the local made products, and you can see the floating markets. Students, remember this: under ecotourism, whichever place someone chooses to go, they are not supposed to litter around with plastic, because plastic is harmful for our ecosystem. And when someone is trying to be on the vacation, it's better to avoid plastic water bottles and other things. Whether someone is visiting national park or a wildlife sanctuary, they're not expected to throw packets and bottles. It should be carried with them in their own bag, and it should be disposed of in a dustbin only. Trekking is an adventurous activity which can be involved in that particular ecotourism destination. Paying attention and sticking to the trails is very important, because for one, it can be easily convenient to complete the track and come back. The trails are made in such a way that they keep the tourists and the wild animals safe from each other. And smoking is injurious to health as well as our surroundings. So in ecotourism, the tourist shouldn't smoke and disturb the ecological balance, because cigarettes have caused forest fires a lot of times in the past, and it must be avoided at all costs. Next important thing to remember is photography. It is an essential part of any trip, and when done without entering the personal space of wild animals, it is considered ethical. So, learning the basics of photography and consulting wildlife photographers on the right way to click pictures that won't disturb the animals will give great shots, picture shots. So, the aim of the eco-sensitive zones under ecotourism is to seek the attention of the youngsters and natural lovers, so that they put spotlight on India's wildlife sanctuaries, forest reserves, and biodiversity parks, which will bring around conservation, profits, as well as welfare of the locals. These are the examples. In Ladakh, there is Leh Nutrition Project. They have been addressing issues related to childcare development, education, livelihood, and watershed development in the difficult terrains. This is done with the amount collected in the form of ecotourism, which is ultimately leading to sustainable society there. This is another example of Uttarakhand. To make the travelers aware of the diverse culture and surroundings, several villages in Uttarakhand have been initiated by the tourism department, and these trails give an insight into the lives of people dwelling there. It's a collective effort of Uttarakhand Tourism Development Board and Ecotourism Division of the State Forest Department, which has seen the successful extension of eco tours. There is also a state bird spring festival organized by Forest Department, which has experienced a tremendous growth over the years and has been a boost to the tourism. We look at another one example. It is Karnataka, which is known for rainforests, wildlife, and adventures. The vastness of nature in the Ghats has treasured ecological diversity, which needs to be explored and brought into the people's knowledge. Jungle lodges, heritage sites, and resorts make Karnataka a popular ecotourism destination in the country. For all the rush and visitors that come down to visit the city, Karnataka Tourism Development Board and National Tiger Conservation Authority have collectively rolled out policies aiming at attracting more investment, creating more awareness at the tourist hotspots, and facilitating ambitious activities to attract tourists. Students, notice one thing: the Ghats in Karnataka, the Western Ghats, they are counted among the top 18 biodiversity hotspots. Jiva Vaividya hotspotgalu. In the whole of the world, there are many biodiversity hotspots. In India, we find 18, and we have one of the largest biodiversity, that is Western Ghats in Karnataka's border. And there are two criteria. What is a biodiversity hotspot? What qualifies it to be declared as a biodiversity hotspot? There are two criteria. That particular hotspot should have 1500 endemic species and less than 70% at the edge of being extinct. So, can you understand the gravity of the biodiversity hotspot? It definitely needs protection. So, ecotourism is one of the ways. This is Dandeli Wildlife Sanctuary, the gate which you can notice. Look at the picture. Can you identify a small elephant, a baby elephant? And there are people in that small canoe trying to take a photograph, and someone has to really make sure that the animals don't get disturbed. And you can see a small house. It is made out of low cost brick, which will keep the temperature within the house very cool. It doesn't require air conditions. And this is the trek walk in Dandeli Wildlife Sanctuary. Next, we'll move on to food tourism. It is also called as culinary tourism or gastronomy tourism, which is added to the mainstream tourism with the help of exposure from social media and television shows. Research has shown that tourists spend almost 40% of their budget on food when traveling. The Restaurant and Food Service Market Research Handbook states that 50% of restaurants' revenue is generated by travelers. It shows that there is a symbolic relationship between food and the tourism industry. Eating out is most common for any tourist, and more importantly, they want to explore the local and traditional cuisines. And someone has rightly said, food says much about the people. Students, when you go out of your town, wouldn't you be interested in the local and traditional cuisine? Don't you feel like trying new food items? You would, right? The basic composition of a culinary tourism are 5 classes. Dining at restaurants known for its local food variety. Purchasing local food products available only in that region. Tasting local beverages, juices, drinks. Dining at familiar chain restaurants and franchises. As per World Food Travel Association studies, more than 7 out of 10 travelers choose destination by its food and drink. Students, you can watch the links given below. You would find something special about food tourism. Isn't it mouth-watering? This is the local food. It's basically snacks. These are the berries. And this is the Chinese food festival on the top right corner. And you can see some of them are enjoying the street food. And these are the different beverages, juices and drinks. We'll move on to agro-rural tourism. It refers to people visiting working farms or other agricultural operations for the purpose of enjoyment, education, or other active involvement. It encompasses a wide variety of activities like agricultural study, bullock cart riding, cannery tours, cooking classes, wine tasting, harvest festivals, barn dances, and farm stays. With this, the farmers can diversify their activities and fetch supplementary income. Can you look at the activities which happen under agro-rural tourism? Next, we'll move on to wildlife tourism. The initiative to create Biosphere Reserve was initiated by UNESCO in 1973-74. On October 25, 2007, 18 biosphere reserves have been established in India and some additional sites are under consideration. Our India has 75 national parks and 421 sanctuaries, of which 19 fall under Project Tiger. The emphasis on wildlife tourism is protecting and nourishing wildlife in reserved jungle and forests. Also developing awareness and protection so that man and animal persist to live in peace and harmony. Dear students, this environment doesn't belong only to humans but also other species. As per our Constitution of India, there are provisions for protection, conservation and restoration of environmental quality. If you can go through the Article 51A, if you can discuss with your political science professors, they would let you know that one of the duties of every citizen of India is to protect and improve the natural environment including forests, lakes, rivers and wildlife, and to have compassion for living creatures. This is the Biosphere Reserve map of India. You find 19 biosphere reserves. As I told you, there is a criteria, 1500 species varieties found there, out of which less than 70% are at the edge of extinction. They are getting endangered. So definitely it has to be protected. Otherwise there will be an ecological imbalance. Students, go through this link which I have given. This is the map which you can see when you go with that link, and you find numberings on that particular map. If you just click on that particular number, it will show you the national park or sanctuary or the biodiversity hotspot, and you can see the various species and the variety found there. It is a very interesting map. When you have leisure, you can go through it. Next, we'll move on to the recent trends in tourism. We are going to look at space tourism. Next, we are going to look at film tourism. Then slum tourism. Space tourism, which is recreational space travel. It is once in lifetime experience of becoming astronauts experiencing space travel. Students, have you ever imagined that there will also be a space tourism? Let's see. Since the first flight of the world's first space tourist He is an American businessman, Dennis Tito, the person whom you can see with a space helmet. On April 28, 2001, he was the first person to be sent as a space tourist. Since then, space tourism has gained new prominence as more suborbital and orbital tourism opportunities have become available. Tito paid $20 million for his flight on the Russian spacecraft Soyuz TM-32. He spent 7 days on board and is considered the world's first space tourist. Space tourism serves as an instrument in the process of marketing the possessions of the country. If you look at the example, MIG Flood acts as a sales agent for this unique space tourism activity, which usually involves reaching an altitude of 20 to 22 kilometers. In the sense, the suborbital tourism, that particular spacecraft will take the tourist to a height of 20 to 22 kilometers above the earth. At such an altitude, the curvature of the earth can be seen and the sky appears dark, and it is possibly to see into space. SpaceX, Virgin Galactic, Boeing and Blue Origin are the leaders in the space tourism industry. But in India, there are no laws governing space tourism. This is one spacecraft from the company Virgin Galactic. This is as per the newspaper Space Daily. Gaganyaan, the country's planned mission to take humans to space, will definitely open huge commercial opportunities in the space sector, as stated by the former ISRO chairman Madhavan Nair. It is a very recent news, which is February 4, 2020. While speaking at the space program, he said once the capability is achieved by putting 3 astronauts into space using ISRO's geosatellite launch vehicle Mk3 in December 2021, the country can think in terms of entering the realm of space tourism. So Indians also can dream of becoming space tourists in the near future. Students, you can go through this link from Forbes. This is a project which would be the first feature film ever going to be shot in space. It is already in process. Tom Cruise is the hero. There is an agreement between NASA, SpaceX and Tom Cruise to have a feature film which will be shot in space. You can see the trails of it in this link. Just imagine to what extent a space tourism can forward. Next, we'll move on to film tourism. It refers to the growing interest among general public for the places which became popular owing to their presence in certain scenes of movies. So sometimes when people go around, they come back with lots of stories saying that we went to a particular place which was seen in so and so movie, isn't it? Okay, India is the largest producers of films in the world, generally called as the Bollywood. India holds the potential to receive up to 1 million film tourists by 2022. Films show different actions happening at the inspiring locations, often luring visitors to take a trip to those beautiful destinations. Film tourism is helpful in building the country's image across the world. Film tourism removes the barrier of seasonality from the minds of travelers, as tourists feel an urge to visit the destination only after watching the films. For example, Chitradurga Fort, which became well known after the movie Nagarhavu. After this was released, Chitradurga Fort got lot of popularity because of the song Kannada Nadina Veeraramaniya. Next you have Mungaru Male, which showcases the Malnad region of Karnataka. Then Muttinahara drags people to the snow-capped mountains. Then Mission Mangal, which is a Hindi movie. People get to know that there is a place called Sriharikota from where the space shuttles get launched. Now we'll look at slum tourism, Kolagere Pravasodhyama. Slum tourism is also referred to as ghetto tourism or poverty tours, which involves tourism to impoverished areas, particularly in India, Brazil, Kenya and Indonesia. The purpose of slum tourism is to provide tourists the opportunity to see the non-touristy areas of a country or city. ತುಂಬ ಸುಂದರವಾದ ಪ್ರದೇಶಗಳೇ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಈ ಥರ ಪ್ರದೇಶಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ಹೇಗೆ ಜನ ವಾಸಿಸ್ತಾರೆ ಅನ್ನೋದು becomes an area of interest for tourists to visit the slumming areas. How people dwell, their daily routines, social compactness, how do they share the amenities available, it can be water or the common amenities available, and how do they adjust. Following the global attention paid to the anti-apartheid movement in South Africa, many tourists began traveling to see the places where the struggle first arose as slum tourism, therefore developed into a formalized commercial offering. Can you see the students in front of a community library? ನಾವೇನಾದ್ರು ಓದಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ತುಂಬ ನಿಶಬ್ದವಾಗಿರಬೇಕು, ನಮ್ಮ ಕಾನ್ಸಂಟ್ರೇಷನ್ ಇರಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. How about these children? How do they study after their schooling? And how do they play in that limited area? They don't have playgrounds in slums, right? Dear students, it's activity time now. The first activity is write a short notes on Dharavi, which is in Mumbai. It is one of the Asia's largest slums. Please collect information on the lifestyle of the people and how slum dwellers are maintaining social distancing during this COVID crisis. It's important for you all to know, right? When people are crowded in slums, how are they really maintaining social distancing? And what's happening to their income? Activity 2, write a short notes on Santosh George Kulangara. You'll be surprised to know this personality. Activity 3, watch the video in the link given below and analyze whether the characteristics of services management are applicable here. In the beginning of the subject management of services, we have gone through the characteristics of services management. Go through the link below, it's already given in one of the PowerPoint slides, but still analyze whether the characteristics of services management are applicable here in this particular video. Activity 4, on a tourist map of India, point 5 destinations pertaining to ecotourism, agro-rural tourism and wildlife tourism. Activity 5, discuss with your principals and professors if you want to plan for a food festival in your college once it reopens. Okay students, next class will be on significance of tourism and market segmentation. For more videos, like and share and subscribe, and don't forget to click on the bell icon. Thank you.